Hello everybody, welcome to the English department. Our lesson today is about relative pronouns. By the end of this lesson, you will have learned how to use relative pronouns correctly when you speak and write. So the objective is use relative pronouns correctly. Look at these examples. Number 1. The woman who was shouting was angry. 2. My garden, which is small, looks spacious. 3. Look at that house, whose roof was painted red. All the red words are what we call relative pronouns: who, which, and whose. In this lesson, I'm going to show you when and how to use who, when and how to use which, when and how to use that, and when and how to use whose. As you see, all the above, who, which, that, and whose, are relative pronouns. And these relative pronouns introduce relative clauses. But what is a relative clause? A relative clause tells us which person or thing the speaker means or refers to. For example, there was a man who was quite clever. The green clause, who was quite clever, is the relative clause because it contains a relative pronoun. And this relative pronoun tells us which man the speaker means or refers to. So, the part of the sentence that contains the relative pronoun is called a relative clause. So this is a relative clause. Let's take a look at a first relative pronoun, who or that. Who or that refers to a person or people. We use who or that when the subject is a person. For example, my uncle, who or that lives next door, has 8 children. In this example, my uncle is a person. So we use what? So we use who. Look at the second example. My neighbors, who or that, are all complain a lot. Also in this example, neighbors are people, so we use who. If you look at the second one, which or that. We use which or that when the subject is not a person or people. So, which or that refers to a thing. For example, the bike which or that he forgot to lock was stolen. In this example, bike obviously is a thing. Bike is a thing, so we use which. So we use which. In the second example, the film which or that I watched yesterday was boring. Also in this example, the film is what? Is a thing, so we use which. We can also use whose. We use whose as a possessive form of who. For example, the man whose car was blue laughed at me. Here we say that the car belongs to a certain person, the man. So we use what? Whose. Look at the second example. That's the woman whose house caught fire yesterday. Also in this example we have house. Now this house belongs to a certain person, the woman, so we use whose. So whose is a possessive form of who. As I told you, sometimes we can omit or drop the relative pronoun. So we can drop or omit the relative pronoun when the relative pronoun is not the subject of the relative clause. For example, the boys who you saw are my nephews. If you look at this relative clause, who you saw. Now, what is the subject of this relative clause? Obviously, it's not who, it's you. So, if the subject is not the relative pronoun, we can drop it. So we can say the sentence without who. The boys you saw are my nephews. Also, in the second example, the boys that you saw are my nephews. Here, also the subject of the relative clause is you, not who. So we could also say the boys you saw are my nephews without the relative pronoun. So we can omit or drop the relative pronoun when this relative pronoun is not the subject of the relative clause. Okay, after this we have a short quiz. Now look at this question. Which relative pronoun should we use? Who or that? Which or that? Whose? Okay, look at the first sentence. The girl studies French, doesn't speak Chinese. What is the suitable relative pronoun to fill in this sentence? Yes, good, thank you. Who or that? So we can say the girl who studies French doesn't speak Chinese, or the girl that studies French doesn't speak Chinese. The second example. Do you know the man car is red? Now in this example we have car. So this car belongs to a certain person, so we should use whose. So do you know the man whose car is red? The last sentence. It's a book will interest children of all ages. Now in this example we have a book is a thing, so we have to use which. So it's a book which or that will interest children of all ages. Thanks a lot. Thank you for watching.